So now, Dr. Horvath, where were you originally born and in what year?
Actually, I was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in February the 3rd. And I don't know if I want to say the year because then I date myself. Okay, I guess I'll give it away. I was born February 3rd, 1957 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Actually, I was in a local children's home. It was through the Catholic Charities called St. Vincent's Hospital in Philadelphia after I was born, and I was there for 5.5 months because I had asthma really badly. And then my adoptive parents, Erna and Bill Schlenner, adopted me in July of 1957. So I was very blessed, and they went through Catholic Charities, but they were from Allentown, Pennsylvania, and they had to drive down to Philadelphia to go through the adoption process because the Allentown diocese didn't have Catholic Charities in our local area back then, so they had to go to Philadelphia.
Wow.
So I remember a lot of things because my mom and dad, I was their only child, and was treated handsomely and royally. It was fabulous. We were actually not wealthy. We were a blue-collar family in a blue-collar neighborhood in Salisbury, but everything they had and every opportunity that they had to give me things, they did. And just the love and the attention and the affection. I know the day that my mom and dad adopted me, my mom actually quit working and she stayed home with me. So she was a stay-at-home mom for over 10 years while my dad, Bill, worked 2 or 3 jobs to make ends meet. So they would be able to do a lot of extra things. And we had a lot of fun times. We would travel 1 week a year. We had vacation. We would go alternate years to either the mountains, which were the Poconos, or to the Jersey Shore. My best memories were Atlantic City, New Jersey, when we went to see the diving horse. We'd dive into water from a very high elevation. So that was fun. So we did that. There was a steel pier. But we had a lot of good times. My dad had brothers and sisters, and a total of 10 in his family, and my mom, Erna, was the same way with a total of 10 brothers and sisters in her family. So I had a lot of cousins, and we did a lot of fun family events. It was really cool. But way back, I started at St. Paul's in Allentown. I went to Catholic school and then went to Salisbury High School and skipped my senior year of high school to go to college early because I actually was really strong academically, thanks to Erna, who always trained me and worked with me a lot. And then decided to go to Lehigh University, and it worked out really well. I majored in finance and management, minored in psychology. So it was a really good experience. I was really fortunate because Lehigh, where my dad worked at Bethlehem Steel, Lehigh was considered the other side of the tracks where only the wealthy people can go there. But we were really blessed because academically I was very strong, from high school. And then my mom and dad were able to afford whatever the small tuition back then was. But to today's standards, that's probably a lot more. But it was very, very good education. It was great. And I met a lot of wonderful people there and had really good experiences. And afterwards got some good jobs. Actually, after I graduated from Lehigh, I went for a master's degree, and I met my husband, Mike, who had a summer job, so it was kind of fun. So then we ended up going to get our master's degrees together and got married. Lived in New Jersey because Mike worked in New Jersey. And then I went on to get my master's at Fair Dickinson University, and my doctorate was Nova Southeastern University. But Mike and I lived in Jersey for a while, and then we ended up eventually having a family. We were very blessed, and we had a son and a daughter, Michael and Maria, 2 years apart, so it was totally a miracle and a blessing. So we were very fortunate. We lived in Florida for a long time with the family. It was interesting because from the time I was born, my mom and dad always were open, a very open family, and told me from the time I was born, the time that I was old enough to remember that I had been adopted, and described it and said that it was probably because of a situation where my birth mother couldn't afford to have me, or maybe was an unwed mother, and back in those days that was not looked upon favorably. So I grew up knowing about that, and then my mom and dad always encouraged it and said, if you ever want to find out about your birth mother, feel free. And again, I felt I had a wonderful life, like the movie, and had no need to really find out about a birth relatives back at that time. And then as I got older and had some health issues develop with asthma in the last few years, And then my dad, Bill, he passed away at the age of 100. I remember him saying to me that he really wanted me to find my birth relatives, and he said maybe you have another family out there, because he always wanted to make sure that I was taken care of after he would pass, because my mom, had died back in 1992, so it was a long time. And then my dad, Bill, said, just find out. So that's basically what I did. I found out for the purposes of health, for my dad actually suggesting it, my mom also suggesting it all those years. And then, my husband got me the kit, which made it easy to check DNA, which was the Ancestry.com kit. And from there, found out I indeed had some birth relatives, because on the adoption papers I knew the name of my birth mother, but didn't know anything else, and didn't know about my birth father. But then I was able to find out and connect through Ancestry.com with a second cousin who turned out to be a first cousin, and then found out I had multiple aunts and an uncle that I was very, very happy and blessed to find out about. The day that my dad was being buried, I got an email from my first cousin saying that she believed that we were indeed first cousins, not second cousins, and that her mom was actually my aunt. So to me it was almost a miracle and a destiny, if you will, a heaven sent message that I should connect with my birth relatives, because it did happen so coincidentally. Then my dad passed that day, and that's the day I got the email. I was excited, I was surprised, I was also a little skeptical, because you never know what people are like, but I thought that since it was so timely from the perspective of almost being heaven sent and a miracle, that I would pursue the connection, and we did. So it was really neat. We emailed several times, we spoke on the phone, and then we connected with my aunt, which was, again, my cousin's mom, my cousin's other aunt. And then we spoke several times on the phone and arranged to get together at a meeting. So my aunt had arranged for the other sisters, as well as my uncle, her brother, to be at a dinner, and I was excited, so all of us got together. We met at a cute, quaint little restaurant in an area where I actually started my master's program in Ambler, Pennsylvania, so it was a cute little restaurant there. And we ended up meeting and embracing and talking for a couple of hours, and shared photographs, shared information, and it was wonderful. I felt so at home with them. It was as if totally they were family, and I really felt very connected to them. I felt just like I'd known them all my life, which was really unusual, because I don't often have that connection when I first meet people, but they were wonderful. They were welcoming and kind and laughing, and I really felt that it fit really well on who I am and who our family is. So it was a beautiful, beautiful moment. It was very, very heart-rending and emotional. Laughter and the stories, and just found, again, a connection I had with so many of my aunts and uncle and cousins. Really felt like I belonged. And when you're young and you're adopted, you really don't understand that sometimes, because you look different from your mom and dad. And I didn't know what it was like to have either a brother or sister or a mom or dad who looked like me, or I looked like them. So I remember the first time I ever had that occurrence was when I had my son and my daughter, because I was like, wow, they look like me, I look like them. And then when I saw the birth relatives, although I didn't exactly look like any one in particular, I had features of each one, and the personality was, again, personality matches of each one. But we still wanted to find out about my birth mother, because she was the missing piece, as well as my birth father, who was still a missing piece. Just wonderful people, engaging and fun, and a lot of laughter and stories, and just quaint little gestures that so reminded me of the people that I felt really connected to through my life. And I really felt a belongingness, like a sense of family, true family. Like my mom and dad. My mom and dad, Ern and Bill Schleiner, would have fit in beautifully with them. It's like we could have all been together and had a great, wonderful family time.
It all started with my parents decided to get the DNA done to see if, like part of their ancestor, and like a couple months after they had their DNA done, I decided to go on Ancestry.com, and I was just playing around with it, you know, going around, and I saw this one mail letter, so I clicked on it. I read the whole thing, and when I saw Elizabeth Belanich, that's when I realized that, you know, you're really close to us. So that's when I showed it to my mother, and when my mom looked at it, she was like, "Yeah, I think that's Aunt Betty." So she called her. So she called her, and she did not remember Betty having a kid.
I didn't know anything about Judith, but I said, "Oh my goodness!" I said, "That's my sister, and her birth mom." And I said, "That's my niece." Now we're talking about.
That's right.
I was shocked. I didn't believe it at first. I thought, this is not true. How could my sister have a child and we not know about it? Bad enough we didn't know where she was, but how could this child be born and us not know? That it was a shock. And even different things that Ronnie and I have talked about. You sure that's not phony, Ronnie? Are you sure? Anybody could do this, and you know, are you positive? You know. But yeah, it was a shock, but a nice surprise. Do you know, at first I was just so surprised, but Judith, it has been wonderful. It's been a wonderful experience, and I said it's just you're another part of our family, your husband, your children, and your family, and it's been wonderful. It really and truly has, and I've been telling people about it, and you know, it's just great. I guess just being together. There was the four of us, and we were close as kids. We were poor. We were a poor family.
We started talking about horses and chickens and everything. Going, wait a minute, we grew up inside the city.
Wow.
You know,
I didn't
it
have
was a
that.
little different.
Yeah.
Everything's gone now. The neighborhood burnt down.
We had a whirlybird in the backyard and a swing set.
Yeah.
I was the baby, so I was a little bit more spoiled.
Just the
The
touch.
swing set came when she came.
Oh, there you go. See. Yeah.
And we had a little
Yeah.
bunkhouse in the backyard. I drove my mother crazy, unfortunately. She was just really just kind and had a lot of patience to put up with me, I have to say.
Well, you were the baby, right?
Yes, I was. And just really, really good to us. I can remember even being in Center City, and I had just started working in town, and I had gotten splashed by a puddle. You know, if someone was driving by, and I was walking into the office, and I get into the office, "Mom, I need a clean change of clothes." And Mom comes hopping on the L at Kensington and Allegheny and meeting me at 15th and Chestnut and bringing me a nice change of clothing. So yeah, she would really go out of her way.
Caring. I love my family.
I have to say happy. I'm a very happy person, contented. I would say I try to be a faithful person to my religion. Hopefully helpful at times.
Some people say I'm patient. I don't really see myself that way, but some people say I'm very patient, and I have a quirky sense of humor. And I don't know. I can be kind, I guess.
Yes, you are.
What she said.
I can be kind.
You're a hard worker.
I am a hard worker.
You're a hard
Yes.
worker.
I do try to be helpful.
Yes.
I do.
Yes.
I do try to be helpful.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
in my own way.
Yeah, I like that. That's good.
And I remember, I guess she was older though. She had to be older. She had to be almost like a teenager. And I remember that these nuns came to the house. And these nuns came to the house, and they spoke to my mother. I was put into another room, and these nuns said that the housing was not good enough for her. There wasn't proper. It was a little house. It was a two-bedroom house. My sisters and I shared a bedroom. My brother slept in the other rooms, or in the other bed. And so she was taken out of the house at that point. She was taken out of the house by these nuns. And my mother always talked about pink nuns, she called them. It's sad. And my sisters and I have talked about that. And that's what we said. We're not letting you go.
That's so sweet.
That's what they were doing my brain for Robert.
Yeah.
And I was only say 16. Robert wanted to give me a car, and that's why I remember Robert.
Yeah.
And me and my buddies went up and looked at the car and everything. And I knew he lived at G in Allegheny.
If you had an opportunity to give a message to Betty today, what would it be?
I would say that I'm sorry that she wasn't part of her life.
I think the same thing. I just want to meet her again. And finding you, I'm always a firm believer that it's always a good reason. Something's good, you know, and it has been good so far. But I keep hoping that we're going to find Betty.
That we
think
love
we
her.
are.
I'm to
Yeah.
say, Betty, good morning, you know, we're, you know, here's your family. So, it's kind of sad because I feel like she grew up without family. Yeah.
And after
You know,
meeting,
like her adult life has been without family.
yeah.
I'd say, Betty, we're still out there. You know, come see us. Come see us. You know, we're here. We're here. We're sorry. We're sorry we didn't pursue it.
The story of Betty, who is my birth mother, Elizabeth Belanek, she actually was I want to say almost a black sheep of the family, in the sense that she was not connected with them for many years. They had no idea what happened to her. As we started to put pieces together, we found out that Betty had me in 1957 in February, and none of her brothers and her brother nor her sisters knew about that. But she had disappeared from their lives for a period of time, like about 9 months. And then when she came back, she re-engaged with him and did some social stuff. But then she also, which we found out about, ended up being pregnant and having a boy, which was almost a little over a year after me. And therefore, it seems like I have a full blood brother out there. And then she gave me up for adoption at St. Vincent's Hospital. And then after my brother, 100% brother, was born, a few months after that, she too gave him up for adoption. But the long story is, nobody really knew what happened to Betty. She basically disappeared, and they didn't know where she was. But we started to do more searches, and that's when it got to be even more interesting about Betty. Very close-knit family, and when you see them together, it was really fun to watch because they joke with one another and tease each other. And Betty removed herself from that, but I found out was that Betty actually had a different father than the four of them did. However, Betty wanted to be a part of the family, and her mother and her stepfather wanted her to be part of the family as well, but the nuns from St. Vincent's did not actually want Betty to go back to the family. They insisted that she stay at the orphanage. Betty just seemed to not have a home. She was like a person searching for who she was and not really finding out who she was. So I think I understand what she did and why she did those things. But I feel sad for her, and it's unfortunate that all of her life she kind of blamed other people for the reasons that she was sad or depressed, and that they pushed her away when they really didn't, that she removed herself from the situation. She had me and then gave me up for adoption, and then she reappeared, but then after she had my brother, whose name she called Richard, after that, when she gave him up for adoption, she had not appeared ever in 40, 50 years or something. She was gone. I never saw her, never knew what happened to her. It seemed that because she gave up her children, her son and myself, she just removed herself from the family completely. And I think it was out of embarrassment. They really didn't know who the birth father was. They could maybe put some pieces together because they were several years younger than Betty, so they weren't really sure who he was. They think perhaps his name was Rob, but they're not sure. They believe he came from the neighborhood in the Philadelphia area where they lived, maybe a few blocks away. Betty was still alive, so we found out Betty was still alive, and it was actually through information that was on the obituary of her husband, who she was now married to by the name of Homan. and her name now is Elizabeth Homan. And she has 2 daughters, they would be my half sisters. One of her daughters' names is Margaret, and the other daughter's name is Cassie. So that was an interesting revelation. So we were able to find things out on the internet. It's amazing what you can find on the internet. So we found a lot on the internet about them on their Facebook pages and things like that. And then Margie, my Aunt Margie, tried to connect with him. My cousin tried to connect with him. My other 2 aunts, both Barb and Pat, tried to connect with Betty as well as the 2 daughters. And Betty doesn't deal with the internet, so we had no connection with her directly. But the connection that we were able to establish was through Cassie. And Cassie was not approachable, is probably the best word. She thought that my aunts, the other aunts as well as myself, were trying to scam them and trying to say that we were related when we really weren't. When I even gave her evidence of it and showed adoption papers, she thought that that was all created and fabricated. So it's unfortunate the way it's ended. Maybe my half-sisters didn't tell her about it. It's hard to say, but it almost felt like a Cinderella story, that we finally start to put the pieces together and there's going to just be what's wonderfully happy ending. And we find out that I have these 2 stepsisters who were really nice. Literally closed the door. Within 24 hours of the point that we connected through Facebook to the point at which she shut us down, was 24 hours. So absolutely, yes, I was surprised. I was shocked. I thought she'd at least want to meet up. We even volunteered, my aunts and I volunteered to meet her close to her house in a public setting. I would pay for lunch or dinner, and she just completely shut down to the point that she actually threatened my aunt. All I thought was, I'm so much more like my aunts and my uncle and those cousins than I am remotely like Betty and these 2 half-sisters. I think I would just like to meet Betty just once and just say thank you. Say thank you, Betty, for adopting me out. That was the best thing you could have done for me, because I'm thankful you gave me life. And I'm thankful that you did give me up for adoption, because you did the right thing. And that's what I would say. I'm very thankful for that and appreciative of that. I know perhaps in February, my Aunt Margie comes to Florida, and I think Aunt Pat and Aunt Barb might be coming down to visit her. I know Uncle Joe's here almost all year now. So I'll definitely get together with them. We'll go and hang out, play golf, and just visit, have lunch, dinner. Yes, absolutely. And the cousins in Pennsylvania, I'll absolutely get together with them. And I look forward to it because they're really cool people. The only thing I don't know, which is a missing piece yet, is my birth father. We think his name was Rob, but we're not sure. I did some additional DNA testing other than Ancestry.com. I did 23andMe, and my niece, my husband's on my husband's side, Jane Horvath, has been able to get some initial information about my birth father and related birth relatives, so we're not quite sure where he's at. There's a good chance that he's still alive, and I'd love to find him, to talk to him, because he may be more approachable. I think he is, just based on what I see. And then also, I have a full brother out there. I would love to meet my full brother, and perhaps just to get together to talk, maybe have a long-term relationship that we might reunite and get together with our families, because that's really still a missing piece of my life, is knowing who my birth father is and my full brother. My birth family, although they're Austrian in a sense, they also came from Italy. So there's Italian roots, and you can tell by some of our complexion, it's a little bit darker. So it's really neat to find that out, and I found out as well through the Ancestry that one of the individuals in my lineage happens to be Ben Franklin. So that's a pretty cool discovery. I've always wondered why I liked inventions and discoveries, so that's pretty neat. I'm blessed I was adopted. I'm blessed with the mom and dad that I had. Erna and Bill Schlenner were my mom and dad. Betty was a birth mom, but she did the right thing. You know, I thank her for that. Giving me life and putting me up for adoption was fantastic. And whoever my father is, I'm not sure of the details of what he knew or didn't know about, you know, myself. But I have a wonderful son and daughter and husband, and we've got a great life and a lot of opportunities that I would love to share with as many people as possible. And I embrace family. I think it's one of the most wonderful things that we have in this world is our family.